from St. Martin's in the Fields Episcopal Church. Thank you for being here, Reverend.
Let us pray. Gracious and loving God, we thank you for this day and for the gift of community. We thank you for the town of Westlake, for its citizens, staff, and leaders. Tonight, as this council gathers, we ask that you grant wisdom, patience, and discernment so that every decision made might promote the common good, strengthen our bonds as neighbors, and honor the trust of those we serve. We also pray for Westlake Academy at the start of a school year. Bless the students with curiosity and perseverance, the teachers with insight and dedication, and the staff with energy and care. Watch over their safety, nurture their growth, and inspire them with hope and vision. Lord, bless our time together, this meeting, and all gathered here, and bless this town. May your spirit of peace guide us in all we do. Amen.
Amen. Well done, Reverend. Thank you, sir, for being here. Please rise and join me to recite the Pledge of Allegiance and the pledge to the Texas flag.
All right, tonight we are very lucky to have Evelyn Stevens, who's one of our grade 2 students. She loves to read, and her teachers say she's very principled. We also have Eli Wang, and he is kind and inclusive to everyone, and Kai Wang, who is grade 7 and is on the football team and a natural leader. So we're going to have you guys lead us in the pledges.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Well done, y'all. Thank you. I now open up to citizen and parent comments. Is there anyone that wishes to speak? Close that out. Items of community interest. Mr. Sasser.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I've got a lot of stuff here, so I may go over my allotted 3 minutes, so please bear with me. I promise. I know. It's going to be good stuff, I promise. So let's get started on the calendar here.
John, we have a gong.
Clock starts now. Our town hall and municipal court are going to be closed on Monday, September 1st to observe Labor Day. Our next planning and zoning meeting is going to be Tuesday, September 2nd at 5 o'clock. Then on Saturday, September 6th at 9 a.m., we've got our 9/11 5K run. This is a phenomenal event that we've got going that the Chief Art and the firefighters and the Westlake Academy are going to be a part of. All proceeds go to the Academy as well as the Fallen Firefighters Foundation. Again, that's going to be Saturday, September 6th at 9 a.m. We'll put out a ton of information about that on our website, social media channels, next door, and emails as well, so stay tuned for that. The Lone Star Legislative Report is coming up on Friday, September 12th from 11 to 1 right here in Southlake down the street. I know I've got a lot of RSVPs from you guys. If you'd like to attend, you have a couple more days to let me know, and we'll get your name down there. Next town council meeting is going to be Tuesday, September 16th at 4 o'clock, and then finally, our Blacksmith Giving Day on Thursday, September 18th. Obviously, we know how big of a deal that is, so we hope everybody turns out and donates. I know the foundation is working awfully hard to help their efforts, and it's a big deal for the Academy to help fund many of the needed things that they have coming. So, again, Blacksmith Giving Day, September 18th. That's a Thursday. Some additional notes here. We had our Military Heroes Run this past Saturday. It was the 5th year that it was in Westlake. They had 492 runners in the middle of the summer, which was unbelievable. 100 of those were for the 10K. So they have a 5K and a 10K. 100 of folks turned out for that. We got some great pictures if you want to check that out on our social media channels. But they've just become a tremendous partner. This year we were a title sponsor for them, and I know a lot of you guys have seen them before. But just a great partnership, and we're looking forward to their 6th year coming up next year. We also had a really well-attended groundbreaking on July 31st for B1 Bank. At least 50 people. Again, it was really hot out there, but it was tremendous.
It was really hot out there.
Yeah, but despite the heat, there were a ton of people out there to help support this great community event. We saw members of the chamber, developers, reps from the bank, fellow businesses in Entrada, and Mayor Tiffany from Trophy Club all stopped by. This will be the first bank in Westlake and the first B1 branch in Tarrant County. The 2-story, 6,000 square foot building should be completed around this time next year, so we're all excited about that. Something everybody should keep an eye on are new water bills. Big changes are coming soon for your bills beginning October 7th. You'll see a more detailed bill in your mail. This will allow you to better understand the breakdown of your usage and how you'll be charged. We encourage you all to visit your profile page on your website. Everybody signed up, hopefully, for that, starting on October 1st to ensure that all your information, including your payment information, is up to date. As always, we recommend that you use your bank's auto draft method to avoid any kind of late fees or if your card is lost or stolen or expires, and that way you don't have to update it. So again, we've already started pushing this out to the community, and we'll continue to do that throughout the next 6 weeks as we head closer to that October 7th date. Also, we had a trash survey that we just sent out about a week ago. It went out on the 11th, and we'll be up for a few more weeks to get a kind of a sense from residents of how often they want their trash and recycling service, what days, and what they're willing to pay for it. You can find that link for the survey in your email. Just search your email for Westlake Wire and it should pop up. As of right now, we got about 176 responses. We need about 323 to get where we feel there's a good confidence level to kind of get a real sense of what people want. So we're going to continue to push that as well for the next couple of weeks. But we're getting close. We like the response so far, but we'd like to double that from between now and when we close it. And of course, we'll give you the results once we get those. The town of Westlake staff are moving to a 4-day work week beginning the week of August 25th. Public hours will start from 8 to 5 Monday through Thursday, but we'll be working behind the scenes a little longer to make up for those out-of-office hours on Fridays. Our municipal court staff will now be available Monday through Thursday from 8 to 5 as well. On court days, the court office will close at 3:30 to allow the proceedings scheduled to begin at 3:45, and then they'll be available right after that after a court adjourns if you need any help. Our public works, fire, and police will remain on the same schedules as they are now, so no need to worry about that. So the big question is why the change? Well, it's expected to save the town an estimated $25,000 annually in utility costs by reducing energy usage and operating expenses on Fridays. So that's a big deal. But rest assured, you will continue to get all the services you've come to expect at the same level. So again, starting the week of August 25th, we will be moving to a 4-day work week. Some phenomenal news, just in the last couple of days, the town of Westlake has been awarded the Platinum Scenic City certification by the Scenic City Standards Review Commission.
The crowd goes wild.
Yeah, that was a mouthful. Yeah, but this is a really prestigious recognition.
Yeah.
I assure you, it's a testament to Westlake's unwavering commitment to excellence in planning, design, enhancement. Your city has distinguished itself among many municipalities across Texas by demonstrating the highest standards for fostering a visually appealing, well-planned, and sustainable community. Your commission for your application stood out as a model of best practices in municipal development and long-range vision. So this is quite an accomplishment. There's only a handful of communities in the entire state of Texas who have this Platinum Scenic City, and Westlake is one of them. The next steps is we'll receive a special marker for the town, and there will be a special ceremony in Fort Worth to celebrate Westlake. That's going to be on October 30th, and more details to come about that as well. And hey, we're not going to stop there. Good. We're going to keep cleaning up Westlake. Perfect segue, right? The mayor's cleanup volunteer initiative is going to kick off here in just a few weeks. And this is going to be What's that?
When it gets cooler.
When it gets cooler, yeah. It's going to be at the start of September, somewhere around there, about a few weeks from now. And we're looking for volunteers, any kind of volunteers. I know the YMSL are going to be a part of it. Westlake Academy students are going to be a part. It's going to be about a 2-hour opportunity to garner service hours. We're going to be out there. The mayor's going to kind of organize it from the back and give supplies. And it's, one more way that we're going to keep that Platinum Scenic City distinguishment for sure. So again, we'll put out a lot more information about that as well. And then finally, we've got some fantastic news from Westlake Academy. And for that, I will turn it over to Dr. Ritchie.
Thank you, John. So we found out on Friday, as most of you know, all of the report cards for the state came out for every public school in Texas, and Westlake Academy was rated as an A school on an A through F rating, and we received a total of 98 out of 100 points with that rating. And I'm here to deliver this news, but you will see people right here to the side of me who are directly responsible for exactly what went into that and how that occurred. And Ms. Hughes is not here, but her section for sure in PYP also had a lot to do with that. It's important to note that we also received academic achievement in reading and language arts, academic achievement in mathematics, academic achievement in science, academic achievement in social studies, top 25% for comparative academic growth, top 25% for comparative closing the gaps. That means taking those students that we know that need that extra help and getting them to the next level. And then also post-secondary readiness. It's also important to note, and this didn't go out, first of all, we're the #1 charter school in North Texas. I'm still trying to figure out where we rated statewide. I have to assume if we're not #1, it's right up there. But I would put our money on us being #1 in that category. It's also important to note that as compared to ISDs, we ranked higher than Highland Park, who got 96 points, and we ranked higher than Carroll, who ended up with 95 points. This is just one measure of our success. It is not the totality of what we do. We're an IB school, so our aspirations are certainly beyond what the state measurements are, but this is a really great recognition for all of the work that's going on by our administrators and our teachers. And our students and their families who invest in tutoring and meeting us with all of the expectations that we have. And so we're grateful to everybody in the role they played in that.
Kelly, thank you. John, do you have anything else? Kelly, I just want to commend you. We have short memories. I very much know what you walked into last year. I was worried that we had principals in place and assistant principals and kind of getting ready for the year, and we had a lot of work to do. The fact that you guys and girls were able to achieve that over the year with you coming is really, I think it's remarkable, and I think it's a testament to your leadership and the path that the school's on. And I know we've had a rough week with some of the state laws and some of the other changes we've made. We'll get through that, but I can't thank y'all enough for everything you do.
We have a great team.
Yeah, no doubt.
Thank you.
A couple of things on John, what I love about the Scenic City thing is I don't know what the heck I was reading, but I saw that and I send you a text and I said, are we doing this? We need to do this. You go, we already did it. And we won it, so great job there. The military run, I was there. I got to speak last year. I was taking kids to college this weekend, so I missed it, but our councilwoman, Dr. Anna White, didn't run because she was traveling. She won her age group last year, so she said she'd be back. The B1 Bank groundbreaking, yes, it was hot, but I got to tell you, I am so happy by the level of community engagement. It was the biggest groundbreaking we've done. Trophy Club Mayor, we had everybody over, and then the next day we did the 1-year anniversary for Lifetime, and the crowd was actually a little bigger. But everybody came out, and Lifetime took care of them, gave tours and stuff like that. So, one of my big things that I want to do while I'm in this seat is get our community involvement better, and it's really going. I mean, our biggest thing is the Christmas tree lighting. We have the July 4th flags. We have other things coming up, but I'm just really, really pleased with that. And then the last thing, Kyle, Cheryl Taylor and Kyle Flanagan, while we were putting out the flags, I was outside your neighborhood, and there was no grass. and I'm literally getting ready to send Wade a text saying this needs to get fixed, and a truck pulls up, and they start doing the grass and irrigation and the gravel under the trees. It looks fabulous. Thank y'all. That's how it's supposed to work, right? But I got a few complaints on that. I didn't know what they're talking about till I was actually out there, but it looks great. So, Wade, team, thank you very much for that. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Work session items, Town of Westlake FY 2025-2026 budget work session. Casey. How are you?
I'm doing well. How's everybody doing?
Dandy.
All right. So we'll just dive right in. The fiscal year 26 proposed budget for the town totals $35 million in revenues and $31 million in expenditures, resulting in about a $4 million contribution to fund balance across all funds. Approximately half of that $4 million will be for our general fund that we're holding specifically to be able to avoid future debt issuances for planned capital expenditures in coming years. The proposed budget is based on a tax rate of 18.5 cents per $100 of value, and it includes funding for 55.5 FTEs, so full-time equivalents. The half there is going to be our part-time municipal judge. It also includes previously discussed adjustments and cuts to shared services, the transfer from the town to the academy, and the CIP and SLA items that we reviewed at the last meeting. In short, I'm happy to present a balanced budget that allows us to adequately plan for our future, allows us to implement some more best practices across the board, and gets us prepared to go forth and do. All right, so looking at it a little more granularly, whenever we're comparing to the prior year, the overall proposed fiscal year budget is up about 5% on revenues from the prior year. When combining all funds, the bulk of that is going to be from utility revenue increases. That is just a shore up of methodology. That is not an increase in rates. And then for expenditures, they're projected to increase about $1.4 million, and that correlates almost directly to the included service level adjustments and capital items. Any questions on the total funds?
Ma'am?
So whenever I talk about total funds, I'm actually talking about 17 different operating funds that we utilize on the town side of things. Whenever the council is asked to adopt the budget, you'll be asked to adopt all 17 funds. And so most of them have very separate functions, and I'll kind of go through some of those real quick. The general fund is the town's main operating fund. It's the one we spend almost all of our time on every year. This is where the maintenance and operations portion of the property tax rate goes. It's where the bulk of our sales tax revenue goes, as well as development and citation revenues. For expenditures, it's also where 75% of all personnel costs are housed, and this is where we have all of our public safety spending. The utility fund is the second largest fund. It's the only other one that we really get into the weeds during the budget work sessions on. This is where all the revenue from those monthly water bills go. It's also where all of our maintenance and the cost to provide water and sewer services are recorded. The next type that we kind of look at is the debt service funds. We have 3 separate debt service funds. They are all broken out according to the way or the revenue that we use in order to pay our annual obligations. Right now we have 11 outstanding issuances that will total 51.9 million that will be outstanding as of October 1st. That does include the just over 9 million that we issued this summer. Between those 3, we have sales tax, property tax, and utility revenues that pay for very specific issuances based on what it is. For example, if we're doing any kind of water sewer infrastructure, we want utility revenues to pay for that. For sales tax and property tax, we have a little bit more leniency, but that's going to be all of our academic and municipal large-scale improvements, such as the arts and science expansion, if we were to redo any roads. And then the last 3 categories we have up here, the special revenue funds, the internal service funds, and capital funds. These have some discretionary options for us as a town, the least discretionary being those special revenue funds. Whenever we use the phrase special revenue funds, what we specifically mean is there is some sort of specifically identified revenue source that has to be accounted for separately and oftentimes comes with legally mandated spending. For instance, the Visitors Association Fund, that is where our hotel occupancy tax revenues come in, and there's actually tax code that says we can only spend it on very specific items. So whenever we go through and we look at any proposed budget documents and we see maybe those funds in particular would have revenues coming in but no expenditures going out, it's because we don't have at the time of budget adoption any qualifying uses identified. But we are open to amending during the year should opportunities arise. And then for the internal service funds, these are our vehicle and equipment replacement funds that are funded from transfers solely from the general fund and utility fund. And then our capital funds are those large-scale capital, usually construction type things that we are also budgeting for. If you'll recall at the last meeting, we also talked about changing methodology for sales tax overages and sweeping them into capital type funds. That's where you'll start seeing these in future years. Any questions on the fund breakdown? Okay, awesome. Then we'll go over a few more details for the general fund. So the general fund is consisting of proposed $16.9 million in revenues. It's a decrease of about 1% from the prior year. Mostly that's due to lower development revenues, citation revenues, and an anticipated softening of interest rates. Much of that is offset by slight increases in property and sales tax rates. I see the bankers chuckling. We would like those interest rates to not soften, but we'll see what this week holds. And then the proposed expenditures of $14.8 million is about a 4% decrease from prior year adopted budget. That's really due to the work of staff over the last couple of months. This is where those cuts and reallocations to shared services expenditures would be. And then additionally, each town department director was tasked by Wade in cutting at least 3% of their standard operating expenditures. So those adjustments and cuts are really the reason that we're able to afford and absorb the various SLAs and CIP requests. All right, and then utility fund is the second largest fund that we have. And this is also where you're going to see the largest increases percentage-wise for both revenues and expenditures. As I mentioned, we have a pretty sizable increase in projected revenues year over year. That's really just a correction of methodology to reflect what we've been actually seeing over the last few years. When we're talking about how we project revenues, we always want to be very conservative, but whenever you have a trend that lasts about 2 years, we want to make sure that we absorb it and that we're budgeting accurately and not just being overly conservative. I do want to mention, like I said earlier, this budget does not have an increase in utility rates incorporated. This is just a shore up of what we're seeing actually being received for those utility revenues. On that note, though, because of the strategic plan work that we did over the winter and the subsequent development of a CIP, we've actually engaged a third-party consultant to do a full rate study. That needs to happen every 2 to 5 years, depending on the growth of a city. And what they're doing is taking the CIP needs and looking at the rate structure and making sure that we're doing the things that we need to proactively to make sure that the rates are where they need to be. And so they'll actually come and do a presentation for council in the next couple of months, and y'all get to pick their brain about all their methodology. All right, and then the expenditures for the utility fund are increasing about $1.8 million. That's really just a continuation of the work that Cheryl and Kyle and their team have been doing in public works to make sure that we're being proactive with maintenance, we're taking care of the things that we have, we're doing things that are best practice if it's implementing a new technology, if it's adding on personnel or equipment that they need to do their job.
Perfect.
Any questions? Very quick.
Ma'am?
Okay. That's all I've got until you see me next month. And then we do all the fun stuff. So last week, Friday, we filed our proposed budget with the town secretary that is currently available on our website for the public to review.
Perfect.
Tonight, we have the budget work session. And then during the regular meeting, council will vote on the maximum tax rate that we'll advertise. Then over the next couple of weeks, staff will actually publish different notices for our public hearings in Star Telegram. And then on September 16th, we'll have 2 public hearings and we'll do all the votes and adopt a tax rate and a budget.
Perfect. Casey, thank you. I also want to thank Michael, you and TJ on the Finance Committee for spending the time and kind of getting our head around all this. And Casey, the work you've done, this is great. We understand it, we get it, it's moving forward, and the path is great for the town. So thank you.
Work, Casey.
Thank you all so much.
Now I'll get into presentation with discussion. Presentation with discussion regarding the Town of Westlake Stormwater Management Program, and the opportunity for public comments regarding the same. Kyle.
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council. Tonight's presentation on the Stormwater Management Program, which will be presented by the town's consultant, Mandy Clark. Mandy is the Water Resources Director for Tignall and Perkins. She's going to discuss how this program impacts Westlake and what the procedures the town must adhere to moving forward, and why we have to do it. If there are no questions, I'll turn it over to Mandy.
Perfect. Thanks, Kyle.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As Kyle said, I'm Mandy Clark. I'm with TNP. We serve as an extension of your city engineering staff. And so this stormwater management program is a part of that. And so what is it? It's a water quality program. So it's to protect your water sources and for your drinking water and other types of water. It is regulated by the TCEQ. And Westlake has to do it because you are now within the Dallas-Fort Worth-Arlington urban area. Prior to this, there was like a little hole, and that's where the town was, and you got away with not being in this program. Well, with the last census, they filled that hole in, and congratulations, you get to participate in this program.
We feel so fortunate.
And so it's not that your population is more than 50,000, it's that urban area population is more than 50,000. And so it's the development of a stormwater program, a stormwater management program, annual reporting on that program. And the good news is because y'all are new to the program, you have 5 years to fully implement it. So we've tried to spread that implementation out. We picked me being here tonight is kind of some low-hanging fruit. You have to listen to me for about 10 to 15 minutes once a year, and that's a pretty easy box to check, but some of them are more difficult, so we've spread that out. And so what's the history? So back in 1972, the Clean Water Act was adopted by the U.S. Congress, and they developed a national pollutant discharge elimination system. And they were like, well, this is a big program. Uh-oh. So they delegated that down to the states. And so Texas converted the national to the Texas Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. It's regulated by the TCEQ. And then Texas said, well, Texas is a big state, so what are we going to do now? So they said, well, we're going to delegate that down to the cities and towns and communities. And so that is why Westlake gets to create this program and manage it. So it is a self-governed program. You get to somewhat pick the activities that you participate, but you definitely get to pick how you implement the certain requirements. If I say the term MS4, I probably won't, but if I do, that is just your storm drain system. That's your roads, your storm drains, your ditches, your inlets, channels, anything that conveys stormwater, that is the MS4 system. And then what is the permit cycle? So it is a 5-year permit cycle. So we write the stormwater management program, and then you have a 5-year implementation, and you report on that every 5 years, and then TCEQ will issue a new permit, and we kind of start over again. And so the reporting cycle is annually. It's a calendar year, and the reports are due in March, so 90 days after the end of the year. And so Westlake's stormwater management program, we developed it with, with Kyle and Cheryl and John, telling us what would work for the town. We submitted it to TCEQ in February. We filed a notice of intent. I'm starting to see some responses, so it's not going to be a shock if we get a few comments and we have to redo it, but we don't have to redo it, just fill in some gaps. But we're in that process right now. But right now we assume approval and we implement. And so what specifically is it? It's a series of minimum control measures. So there are 6 minimum control measures, and they're on your screen. I'm just going to walk real quickly through each of these. But within each of those, there are best management practices, and those are the tasks, the specific tasks that apply to those minimum control measures, the MCMs and the BMPs. If there's nothing TCEQ doesn't like, it's initials and acronyms. And so that's the BMPs support those minimum control measures. And so I'm just going to walk through them just very briefly. The first is public education and outreach. There are 3 things. Your staff selected these things thinking they would be good for the town and easier to implement. You are required to post your stormwater program on your website. It is out there for your viewing pleasure. If you want to go and dig into that thing, go crazy. Social media posts. So John's been doing a great job of doing some social media posts. So if you see some stormwater posts about water quality, lawn care, don't dump, those are mandated and things that he's doing to support this program. And it's good practice. And then newsletter articles. They've also been working on putting some newsletter articles in the Westlake Wire. There's already been one. I can't remember if we had to do 1 or 2, but it's not a huge burden. That part of it, isn't it? Anyway, so the public outreach is kind of how the town is reaching out to your citizens, your business owners. The public involvement is kind of like, how are they coming back to you? So there's 2 items that we selected for that. One is an educational booth or display. And so it'll look something, like that. You'll have a table with some stuff on it, some informational brochures, some goodies, whatever. And we have to develop that by year 3. So your staff or y'all will pick an event and then have a booth there. And then the public meeting for input, that's what we're doing tonight. So here we are. And then illicit discharge detection and elimination. It's a lot of words. It's just about pollution. It's just about what are the specific things that you don't want in your water. So any dumping, cross connections of sewer to the storm drain, septic system over, I know you probably don't have a lot of septic, but like sewer overflows, wash water, and then your traditional things you wouldn't want to see, oils and paints and chemicals and things like that. So you don't want to see that. Hopefully you haven't seen that, but you don't want people dumping their RV black tank into your inlets. That's bad. So pretty obvious.
So can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do we test that today on our water?
No, stormwater is not treated or tested typically.
So we don't know if we're
Not
doing
required
it or not.
to. No, sir.
Okay.
And that's the purpose of this
Got
is
it. That's-
stormwater isn't treated.
Yeah.
So anything that goes just right in there. So, and then illicit discharge detection, I already said that. These are the list of BMPs that are addressed. So you have to have a storm drain map. You're going to implement that in year 2 and fully developed by year 5. So year 2, we're going to make a plan, like segment off the town and say, we're going to do this area and then just slowly map it. And that's important for if you do see something coming out, how do you trace that back to where it's coming from? Staff training, we did that a couple of weeks ago, so check that box. Public reporting method, you've got some reporting on your website. We'll evaluate that, make sure it's meeting the criteria. And then just develop some SOPs for responses, investigations, correcting it, that sort of thing in year 2. And then you'll fully implement it in the future years. And then construction site stormwater runoff. This is probably the thing that a lot of us think about when we think of stormwater issues. And so it's, silt fence, construction entrance, anything related to new construction, making sure that these types of things don't happen. And so you do have an ordinance, that we'll be reviewing it and editing it, making sure it meets the requirements of the permit in year 3. We'll be doing your site plan review procedures and your inspection procedures are already in place. So that's a pretty easy thing to check. Making sure your complaint response procedures are, where they need to be for the permit. And then the staff training, that was a part of the one we did a couple of weeks ago. So we got that done. And then post-construction stormwater management. So that is about like detention ponds or any sort of water quality features, making sure that they're maintained in an ongoing manner. So, you do have a lot of large commercial developments or business parks or business, you know what I'm talking about, in town.
Thank you.
And campuses. And, they have their detention features or things that are supposed to protect that stormwater, making sure that they have systems in place and future developers have systems in place to make sure that is maintained in an ongoing manner. So it's things like you see there's right outside of Town Hall in this building, I think I'm looking at it right here, is, a detention pond that the town probably maintains, and making sure that the town's maintaining it properly, and also if it should be private, making sure there's agreements in place. And then pollution prevention and goes to housekeeping. This is just how the town is taking care of its own facilities. And so we're going to develop a facility inventory of everything the town maintains in year 2. We did the staff training a couple of weeks ago. Waste collections is just identifying who does it, so that's pretty easy. That's done. And then we're going to identify any routine contractors that you have. So if you have people that are mowing, filling potholes, or doing minor roadway repairs, street sweeping, anything like that, making sure they are aware of your requirements and are honoring that. And then we'll assess all of your facilities in year 2 and 3 to see what kind of potential for problems there might be, and then putting, SOPs in place to make sure they're inspected and maintained regularly. And so what's next? We're implementing according to the schedule, and then we will do a year 1 report that will be due March 26th. So TMP will just be kind of checking in with staff ongoing, making sure we're just communicating, and then we'll get that report done. So with that, I will open it up to any questions.
I might have missed this. When will the initial test be to say, do we have a problem or is it clean?
There won't be.
There won't be.
It is just it's just tasks. You're doing these tasks. TCEQ we submit the reports, they look at them, and they make sure that you're following your program. There's not going to be any sort of testing.
No.
Yeah, you can. I mean, if that is something you want to do. But
this is all runoff water from storm drains and things like that,
but
right?
if somebody's
so it's never
dumping
tested.
their oil from
That's
their
correct.
car, gasoline,
So
or something.
these are all measures that we take to ensure those things don't happen. Basically, it's educating the public not to do it, and then it's the process that we have in place to try to keep those things from happening.
Yeah.
That's really what this program is more than anything.
Yeah, I'm a little shocked that we don't test. Just that maybe we can figure that out to say, do we have a problem? We're going to comply.
no one does. So
No one does.
You test if there's a problem, but most people are not testing. The big cities are doing more than the smaller
I don't want to
cities
make
and
Kyle
towns.
fall out of his chair over there.
But it's more of a performance. It's preventative. And I had something very important that was going to change everyone's lives, and I can't remember.
Okay.
Can I ask a fundamental question? I'm probably the only one in the room that doesn't know the difference between a retention pond and a detention.
Yes. Oh, did you want me to?
What is the difference?
Oh, the difference.
Yeah.
So a detention pond
I am
is
the only person in the room.
Okay, no, it's usually dry. So it'll be a dry pond. It'll be like a big just hole in the ground, and then the water comes in there, and there'll be an outlet pipe, and it just releases that water slowly through the outlet pipe. A retention pond has a pool of water in it all the time. So you probably, I think Westlake has a lot more retention ponds than detention.
So the one that sits on Dove Road and Davis Boulevard, that's a retention pond. Okay.
And so they'll usually have a fountain or something to keep that water flowing, and they can serve it. They are also serving as a detention pond some of the time. But the intent is to be an amenity, and then they'll fill to a certain level, and there'll be a hole of morning glory that the water will pour into, and then it'll release slowly. But they're intended to hold that water all the time.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks for being
Thank
here.
you. Have a good evening.
Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to comment on the stormwater management program? Okay. Thank you. Consent agenda, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Can I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item H, regular agenda items, discuss, consider, and act to approve maximum tax rate to consider and advertise. Casey, you're back.
I'm back. And I'm done after this. It's the next meeting. It'll be up here in Flats. All right. So tonight's next item is the statutorily required vote on a maximum tax rate that the council will advertise. So Tax Code 2606 requires a prescribed notice that says there is a record vote on the tax rate. So council is required to vote on the rate before you can vote on the rate. So what we are saying in this notice is the proposed maximum property tax rate is 18.5 cents, and that we are not adopting a tax rate tonight. We will do that at the next meeting after we have a public hearing. And so what will also be in that tax notice is the different rates that we're required to calculate by tax code. So our proposed tax rate of 18.5 cents is higher than what is considered or called the no new revenue rate. And what that means is there is a calculation that we perform that says this would be the property tax rate that we would assess if we were to collect the same dollars as we did the previous year on existing properties. I do want to call out the fact that our no new revenue rate is actually higher than our current tax rate of 16.788 cents. A large part of that has to do with a decline in home values on the taxable side of things. So, for instance, if you are an average homeowner in the town of Westlake, your taxable value this year went down $200,000, or about 8% from last year. So even with the proposed rate of 18.5 cents, your average tax levy will go down almost $66 for the year.
Okay, say that again, louder.
So due to the decline in the average taxable home value, that person owning that home of $2.5 million in taxable valuation will see a property tax bill of $66 less than the previous year. And then the other two rates that we're required to calculate are the voter approved rate. So that is the maximum rate that we could legally charge without going out to the voters during a general election in November. And then the last one on here is called the de minimis rate. Because our population is under 30,000, we're required to do an extra calculation that says if we were to charge a rate that gets us exactly $500,000 more than the previous year's levy, this would be the rate. Any questions on statutorily required math?
Ma'am.
I was ready for them, though. All right, and then just so everybody knows, this is about the time everybody around us, all of our comparison cities, are doing the exact same things. So whenever we went out and looked at all of our neighbors and all of our normal comparison cities, we are still, with our proposed rate of 18.5 cents, the lowest. So just to let everybody know, at 18.5 cents, our surrounding neighbors of South Lake and North Lake, they're actually adopting or proposing the same rate of 29.5 cents. Keller's at 28.7, and then Trophy Club is a little over 41 cents.
We'll keep track of their postings, our kind of peer group here.
Mm-hmm. I think I know the answer to this, but it'd be nice to have it on the record. How many years have we gone without having an increase?
So it's been 5 years since we had the last increase. Right? And so
Casey, I apologize for interrupting. Just to really emphasize that point, even at a no new revenue rate would still be higher than where we are today.
Correct.
Right? So like either way, I mean, some tax rate is not just necessary; it's prudent. Right? Not if we're going to just maintain where we're at.
Correct.
Some tax rate hike, some increase.
If we were to charge the no new revenue rate, because most of the value loss came on the residential side, homeowners in general would see a lower tax bill, but the commercial sector will see a higher.
Good question.
Right. And then, as I said, tonight's vote is not to approve the tax rate, it's just to approve the rate that we will put in the required notice. Once we have the record vote, then we will update that notice. We will get that advertised according to our schedule, And then we will be back on the next meeting, September 16th, for our public hearing. And then after the public hearing, we will adopt a property tax rate.
Perhaps at that meeting, we should discuss why we want to increase the rate, what we're going to do.
Great
I
point.
think it's important for our constituents to understand that
No
we're
doubt.
not just doing it for fun. We're doing it because we have a lot of infrastructure needs. We need to fund some way other than just raising. This is a fairly benign way to do it, but it's a step forward.
Absolutely. As part of the property tax hearing and the discussion and vote on that, council will actually be required to adopt a tax rate that consists of two portions, an M&O and INS, or maintenance and operations, which is a major funding source for our general fund, and the INS, or interest and sinking, which is where we do that property tax paid debt, including some of the debt that we just issued this summer, which is why that part of the rate will go up slightly. So we'll have all those details for you.
Excellent. Great point. Any other questions?
But Casey, just to clarify, this is the maximum. Is there a reason?
Correct.
I mean, I'm just wondering what was the thought process that picked this?
So we looked at a couple of different options, including all of the calculations on the different rates that we actually calculated to see what that looked like. Whenever we talk about the total tax rate of 18.5 cents, what that also involves is that adjustment each year that occurs between the M&O and the INS, and we try to set the INS as close to just maintaining those obligations for the upcoming year. So whenever something like this year happens and we have an issuance, therefore our payments will go up next year, we want to make sure that we're capturing that without dipping into the maintenance side of things.
Council members, if you also look at our 5-year CIP plan, you'll notice an amount on the bottom of each year of debt that's going to be required for us to take out to meet that CIP plan. And then you flip over to our 5-year projections on our on the budget annually. We have a budgeted surplus every single year, and that is for that purpose. So you can take that number off that debt number. Our goal is to only take out half of the debt that wouldn't be needed for our CIP over a 5-year period. It may be larger at the beginning and then smaller at the end, but that's our overall goal, is to only get 50% of the actual required debt be taken out as debt. We want to pay for that CIP with cash as much as possible.
Casey, what was the rationale to choose 18.5 over the 20.5?
We didn't need all that money for next year.
Okay, so we're not worried about the fact that we haven't really kept up with the sales tax revenue that we were hoping to get when we built Entrada originally. That has not started coming in yet for us. We're not worried about that at this point in time?
We're not at this point. We've actually seen sales tax come in higher than projected for the last several years.
Yep.
And we have no reason, just digging into the numbers, to expect that to decline at a huge rate. We're, again, trying to be conservative and not over-project,
Right.
but that is a big help for us.
Yeah, great question, Tom. I mean, look, nobody likes their taxes raised, including all of us, right? But we have some public infrastructure that has been neglected for years, and this is the average is how much per average homeowner the taxes would go up? 60?
They would go down $65.
Because of the, okay. We're good. Thank you. Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve advertising 18.5 cents per $100 of value in the town of Westlake's maximum tax rate consider for FY 2025 and 2026?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Casey, thank you very much. Thank you, council.
Thank y'all.
Agenda item H2, discuss, consider, and act regarding Resolution 2528, approving the first amended interlocal agreement in the Northeast Fire Department Association for mutual aid for fire and emergency medical services, and authorizing execution by the town manager. Chief Ard, how are you, sir?
Doing well. Thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor and Council. What we're here to discuss tonight is basically a presentation on the interlocal agreement with NEFTA, Northeast Fire Department Association. We've been proud members of this organization for over 2 decades and have received and relied upon their services many times. The Northeast Fire Department Association which comprises of 14 member cities, including the town of Westlake, has approved the addition of DFW Airport Fire Department, bringing the total membership cities to 15 agencies. This addition requires an amendment to the existing interlocal agreement governing NEFTA. What I thought I would do is the next few slides just basically share a little bit about what NEFTA is and why we're a part of it. Humbly, the membership cities began with just a few in 1967. Since then, we've grown to now 15 cities with 205 square miles, over 65,000 calls for service, and more than $5 million in fleet and inventory. As you can see from the patches on there, it spans from Westlake over to Grapevine, down to Bedford, Euless, Hurst area, to Haltom City, then back up to Roanoke and everyone in between. What is the mission of NEFTA? It's basically to provide special operations services and equipment that any one NEFTA city cannot do on their own. Further, it means to create more uniformity in service delivery by participating in semi-annual training exercises and policy development. What does the town of Westlake receive from NEFTA? We receive hazardous material response. We receive vehicle extrication team response. Just recently, a few weeks ago, we had a difficult extrication of a patient on Highway 114 where we utilized the service. We had a vehicle extrication team come assist us. Other service includes swiftwater rescue, trench rescue, confined space, structural collapse, rope rescue, a bomb team, which is the explosive piece there, a rapid intervention team. We used that service just a few weeks ago at a Deloitte structure fire. Also, other services received is air and light support, leadership development, which focuses on professional development for our company officers, which is lieutenants and captains in our industry. And then last is the Resiliency Coalition. That is basically an opportunity for us to provide mental health support and peer support for all firefighters in NEFTA. I kind of wanted to give you an illustration about what I was describing earlier in terms of what is the coverage area for NEFTA. Again, it's from us all the way over to DFW Airport, looking southwest down to Haltom and then back up to Roanoke and every city in between. This makes us one of the largest fire department organizations in the state of Texas, collectively, with over 40-plus stations, counting DFW Airport, which obviously gives us the capacity to assist all of our communities, but also our neighboring communities, both Fort Worth and Dallas. We're second support to them. With that, is there any questions about NEFTA before I kind of get in more into ILA? Okay. Current conditions, again, NEFTA has voted in DFW Airport. NEFTA has agreed to allow membership without DFW participating in capital replacement dues. I'll discuss why that is in just a moment. DFW will focus on training, coordination, enhancing capabilities at DFW and regionally. That's why this interlocal agreement will need to be amended and approved. Why will they not participate? DFW Airport Fire Department will not contribute to capital replacement dues due to their extensive inventory of specialized equipment and operational capabilities. Instead, they have committed to making these resources available for emergency response support and replace them within their own budget when needed. Under the interlocal agreement, DFW Airport Fire Department will contribute to operational dues, enabling their participation in NEFTA semi-annual training and providing special operations support within the region. DFW Airport Fire Department involvement is expected to strengthen NEFTA's overall capacity and service delivery. What does this mean for Westlake Fire EMS Department? Specifically in Westlake, is things remain the same in terms of the ILA. This is an existing ILA that's adding DFW. So for Westlake, there will be no change in our due structure. We'll still offer hazardous material response capabilities. What that means is we'll have 2 hazardous material technicians available on shift each and every day to deploy all across NEFTA when needed. I wanted to mention there are 2 different dues that are required. One is operations and one is capital. As it relates to the operations piece here, you'll see that there is a base fee structure coupled with population or per capita. Since our population is very low compared to all membership cities, we pay the least amount for all of those services compared to the other cities. Additionally, on the capital dues side, again, base fee structure coupled with population. And then again, we're at the bottom because we have the lowest population, we pay the least amount for all those same services. With that, we recommend approval of resolution for the updated NEFTA interlocal agreement that adds DFW Airport. With that, is there questions I can answer for you?
Any questions for the chief? Yeah, TJ?
Yeah, I have a question, Chief.
Yes.
So it would appear from that chart you just showed that I can't imagine the airport has too much of a daytime or a permanent population, right? So it would be about $10,000 of dues. They're not contributing. Was that what that would have been?
That is correct.
And
so it's a minor amount.
Yeah, and so there's no other impact. Our dues aren't going up, but in terms of the additional commitment from our fire department, what's that expected to be? I mean, if it's really hazardous waste response, how much do you think we're? Based on that map you showed, we're probably the furthest out, Roanoke just a little bit further than us from DFW in terms of what's the expected contribution of time given their calls historically?
What type of response would they have to us?
No, for how much more is this going to impact you and your team now that you'd have to, be committed to
I would
that?
say little to none it's going to impact us. In fact, if anything, it's going to create more robust services because they have nearly every fire department member in the DFW airport is actually a hazardous material technician. So now we've got a more robust group in terms of that response capability. For us, I don't think it is going to impact us at all, certainly not negatively.
Okay, so your assessment is it actually may have a net positive impact?
That is correct.
Good.
I mentioned to Wade that being from the electric utility industry, I'm familiar with a mutual aid program that we had where if people had storms like hurricanes, we were required to send bucket trucks and people to help repair. And it worked beautifully because there's no way in the world that Florida could repair as quickly doing it themselves than they can having 15 states come to do it. I didn't realize we had something like this, but I think it's a great way to share resources. It's a great way to focus resources.
Thank you.
And it's a very limited cost.
Thank you very much.
I think it's great for us to continue.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anything else?
Chief, thank you. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2528 as presented?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Chief, thank you again. H3, discuss, consider, and act to approve Resolution 25-30, authorizing contract with Driven Security to update municipal court security. Jason, how are you, sir?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So we're coming before you today just to talk about an opportunity we have to update the municipal court security. That includes this room, since it serves as the courtroom, and then the municipal court upstairs, which also utilizes the town hall area, so it's going to encompass all of that upstairs. So currently, our systems are about 8 to 10 years old. We've been in this building just a little over 8 years. And then some of that equipment was actually moved from our previous location over here. We've had a lot of failures just in the past year, so it's has not been as reliable, and we've had some problems with coverage. And another reason would be for the best practices, just the modern systems that provide a higher resolution video, secure entry, and then real-time alerts with this new system. They're all critical for safety and incident response. And then operational efficiency. This is going to be the same type of system that we just installed at Westlake Academy, the same brand. So that'll help us in the IT department manage it and just know how to take care of that. And then it's also great, easy to integrate with emergency services. So again, increased protection for the staff, the judges, the officials, and the public. Improved reliability that comes with a 10 years manufacturer's warranty. And then it's cloud-based instead of here on-site. So here to manage and maintain faster response. It does have real-time monitoring, which is something we don't have right now, and alerts.
Excellent.
Then allows for immediate action in emergencies, and then future-proofing. It's scalable and it supports evolving security needs as we go forward. got my slides out of order. So the funding.
Good, that was my question.
Yeah. Oh, you don't need to know. Just so the funding we're estimating, the estimate that we got is about $106,708. The source for that funding, since it's for municipal court, they have a special fund that's called the Building and Security Fund, and it's set up through the Texas Local Government Code 134-103 and 134-156, and that takes revenues from citations and stashes it away to use for court security purposes. So all of the funds would come from that.
Do we have this budgeted covered, Wade? Okay.
And thank you to all our drivers on 114 and the Keller Police Department.
That's Davis, I think, is where they're
it's
getting
about
that.
It's $14 per citation.
What's our annual citation revenue? Don't know.
You know, I knew
I'm
that
not in the
number.
court. I don't know. I'm just trying to spend their money.
It went down over the year.
I see Casey motioning to us. It's around $400,000 a year.
Jason, can I ask a question?
None.
Sure.
So this is, the current system has been in place 8 to 10 years?
Yes.
What's the ongoing cost annual of that system?
We really haven't had much this year because there's no support for it anymore. So
Okay, like we can't get support anymore? Like it's,
Right.
it's obsolete, okay. And then of the $106,000 of cost, how much of that is upfront and how much of that is ongoing support costs?
it's complete up front. And
Will
that's
there be
it.
no ongoing support costs for this? Just with it's cloud-based, you say we have real-time alerts. There's no subscription for that?
No, that's all built into the, and what we're recommending is that 10-year option. So that covers us for 10 years. And we can move it to wherever, if we're not here in 10 years or in 5 years or whatever, we can, it's just hardware that can be unplugged, installed somewhere else, plugged in, talks to the cloud. So very easy to move around.
Makes sense? Okay. Any other questions?
You answered my question. I was just curious about if we were to leave space and move to but it's portable, so it's good.
Yeah.
Jason, thank you, sir. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 25-230 as presented?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir. H.4, discuss, consider, and act regarding WA Resolution 25-20 to approve an application for waiver for staff development days for the 2025-2026 and the 2026-2027 school year. Darcy, how are you?
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Board. How are you this evening?
Excellent.
This is basically a housekeeping item that we come to you every 2 years to get approval to submit a waiver to the TEA for our 2,100 minutes of professional development built into our school calendar. And the TEA just requires us to get board approval to submit the waiver. It's a standard waiver, so as long as you approve it, they will give us the waiver minutes. Those calendars are already built into the calendar that you've approved for this year. The waiver will be submitted for 2 years, so we won't have to come back to you for 2 years to get this approval. We just need your approval to submit the waiver. Our calendar has to have 76,500 student minutes in it. The waiver allows us to take 2,100 of those minutes, not having the students on campus, and use those minutes for staff development. We do more staff development than just those 2,100 minutes, but we can only count 2,100 minutes toward our school calendar days.
Any questions? Do I have a motion to approve WA Resolution 25-20 as presented?
So moved.
Can I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Darcy, thank you.
Thank you.
Carries. H.5, discuss, consider, and act regarding WA Resolution 25-21 to approve the amended Westlake Academy Employee Compensation Plan for the 2025-2026 school year. Kelly.
All right, so Sandy is out tonight, so I'm going to present this, and if we have any questions, we might have to call some of our other experts up here, so we'll see. So what this amended proposal is based on is the House Bill 2, which was the largest increase in school funding in Texas history. And what it primarily provided for were recognition of our most important staff members, which are our teachers. And so it was a really nice recognition for those teachers to be anticipating these raises that they've waited a long time for. Districts with less than 5,000 students, which is obviously what we are, our teachers are going to see the largest increase in those raises. If you are a classroom teacher with 3 to 4 years of experience, you're going to be looking at a $4,000 raise, and then 5 years experience plus, those teachers are eligible for this $8,000 raise. The proposed updated salary schedule is going to help Westlake Academy stay competitive. Most of the districts that we saw and we looked at are doing 3 to 4% raises. This is a much more conservative proposal. It is in alignment with all of the budget discussions that we had last spring, the cuts that we made, just got the kind of the financial awareness that we have. We are a charter school. We don't necessarily have as much funding coming in as ISDs do, so all of that was kept at the forefront while we were having these discussions. And so what you're going to see here is not only the House Bill 2 money, which goes directly to the teachers, but a very moderate 2% increase off of mid for everyone except administrators, and then for eligible employees outside of what is delineated here, just a 2% raise. And then there's also a small adjustment to the athletic stipend list. So when you look at the impact on the budget here, it's going to be minimal impact. The state pays after the fact, as we've discussed on multiple occasions. But most of this money is pass-through money. These are not funds that we can do anything else with. They were intended to go straight to teachers, and that's exactly where they will go. So 54 of those raises, which equates to $424,000, is coming directly to the teachers for that purpose. So it will come to us and go right back out. The rest of that, about $20,000, is monies that are either allotted through some other funding that came through this year or will come out of our budget here at the Academy.
Just to make sure I understood you, Kelly, you're saying that change will have no impact, financial impact on your budget?
Very minimal. Yes. Because it's primarily pass-through funding.
But in all honesty, in 2 years at the 90th
Yes.
session, if they don't approve this,
That's the $1 million question.
Yeah.
And that's what we're all kind of waiting to see, whether this is going to continue to be funded at the state level or whether next legislative session, if we'll see an overhaul of what they just did.
Yeah.
Are teachers happy about this?
They are very happy.
Dr. Owen, are you happy about this?
Yes.
So, Kelly, I do have
Dr. Owen's staff is very happy about this.
Excellent.
Good.
Yes.
You get what you pay for.
That's exactly right. And I don't know if y'all noticed on here, we kind of flashed this quickly, but 52 of those 61 teachers that are represented here are teachers with 5+ years of experience. And we know
Excellent tenure.
that when we have tenure like that, we have the ability to really get those people to master's level, and that's a greater impact on our student achievement, which is what you saw at the beginning of the meeting. That's why we're able to get those results.
Nice tie-in.
Yes.
One quick question.
Yes,
2% raises, is that for folks who are less than 3 years who won't be getting the government money, the HB2 money, or is that across the board?
That's not across the board.
Okay.
The $4,000, $8,000 raises are the raises. The other ones are just an acknowledgement of all the other work that goes on with our support staff, librarians, counselors, nurses,
And you mentioned this
coordinators.
is less than peer schools, and I presume peer schools are also not giving raises to teachers who got the HB2 money.
Some are and some aren't. Most of the places that we looked at are using just the $4,000 and the $8,000. And it's important to remember that we did pass on those increases in health insurance to our staff this year.
Yes.
So this 2% is going to help offset that. It wasn't a significant increase. We are still highly competitive in this area. I think Sandy told me, I did not go through all of the numbers and double check this, but when she double checked it, she said that we are right below HEB and as far as total compensation. So we're offering very competitive packages.
Yeah, I would agree with that statement.
Yeah.
Just a housekeeping question. So obviously this is pass-through money that we're going to be getting from the state. I don't know when we're getting that money. Obviously, our teachers are paid on probably a biweekly salary.
Yes.
Are we going to have any issues with cash on hand stuff for that, Casey, I guess? No, it's not going to be.
No, we have plenty of.
Just want to make sure, because I know that that's something that, you know, if we don't get that until the end of the year, if that's going to be an issue or something.
Don't cash your check.
So obviously, cash flow is a concern, but if you'll recall, the way that we adopted the Academy's budget had roughly $650,000 surplus. That includes the cash flow that we get from existing TEA allotments, and so we should be able to cover this until TEA gives us adequate guidance and then starts actually funneling the money to us.
So our recommendation is to go ahead and approve this amended employee compensation plan, unless there are other questions, comments, concerns.
Go ahead.
Make sure, again, putting it on the record, there's no other change from what we saw in the last compensation review, other than this.
There will, and I don't want to misstate this, there will be incidental increases in TRS contributions. What else, Marlene? Because remember, those percentages are based on the overall salaries. So there are some incidental costs that come along with offering.
But pretty immaterial in the whole.
Yes, it's not.
Hi, Marlene.
So the 447,044, that is going to be the all-in for benefits along with the salary. But the amount that we will get from TEA is only the 4,000 and 8,000. So those benefit costs, the increase for those, will be coming out of our pockets.
It's between the 447 and the 435 is approximately.
That's the benefits, yes. That's TRS, taxes, employer-paid insurance.
You never tell you were an auditor, by the way. Kelly, just a couple of comments.
Sir.
One, we, as I think the board knows and faculty knows, we spent 4 days this year in Austin meeting with our legislators, and I am not entirely happy with what we experienced, but they did pass $8.5 billion school, and a big part of this were the raises for the teachers, which was needed. The basic allocation went up a whopping $55 on a $6,600 base, but they also did, figure that out for inflation.
Already, so.
But they did give us some money for security, for technology, and we're still trying to figure out the facilities funding. So I don't want to seem ungrateful.
Right.
But we have more work to do in Austin. And of course, the big thing was the voucher program that starts next year. Mm-hmm. That by their own report, 52% of those children are already in private schools. So we're going to see how that works out, and I'll be monitoring that closely. But I think the real important thing, and I'll probably say this in a few minutes again, we have two, our elected officials, House number 98, I think, District number 98, Giovanni Caprileone, and Senate seat 9 are both up for re-election, and it's very important that we help and know people that are running for those and to get elected, and that we have a friend in Austin that we can talk about this stuff and hopefully be involved in some of the discussions before these things come law. But we are very grateful for this from our legislators. Can I get a motion to approve WA Resolution 2521 as presented?
So moved.
Can I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Kelly, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. So we have two more.
Okay. H6, discuss, consider, and act regarding WA Resolution 25-22 to approve the Westlake Academy Board of Trustees Policy 7.03, Personal Communications Device Policy in compliance with Texas House Bill 1481.
All right, so it's been a fun week. But it's okay. So this is House Bill 1481 actually said that all public schools and open enrollment charter schools must adopt a written policy prohibiting student use of personal communication devices during the instructional day. So this is the process by which we will take care of that state mandate. Communication devices include, but are not limited to, cell phones, smartwatches, earbuds, tablets, personal laptops. The law allows for limited exceptions for educational, medical, safety needs. We are having those discussions at the campus level. We've already had a couple of meetings about those and making sure that if that is a genuine documented concern, that we are able to meet those families and those students with the arrangements and accommodations that are needed. Updating our policy prior to the September 18th compliance deadline ensures adherence to state law and also works to provide an environment with fewer distractions, which is the intent of that law. Questions?
Going back to my earlier point, we need to have friends in Austin. We are trying very hard to build relationships. When they have things for school, they're going to ask us what we think.
Yes.
And what we think is this was rolled out too quick. I don't know they realize that educators have the summer off. We had less than 60 days from this was passed to get this implemented and procedures, and the penalties for noncompliance, which I need everybody to understand, are severe from the TEA. And I just, in the future, I want us to have those relationships with our legislators that we talk about this and we talk about the timing. This has created a huge uproar on our campus, and I know
It has.
Kelly and I put a memo out yesterday and the things we're looking at and making sure we understand what everybody else is doing, but they have to do better for schools on these laws going forward. And it has created an uproar that we didn't need the first week of school.
It has, and it's unfortunate because I think the intent of what is being done is something that we've noticed in education for a long time. The problem is by the time that this was passed, our budget was pretty much done. It is very expensive to make technology changes at the last minute in any budget. We've been talking at the campus level. There were conversations, could we hurry up and buy enough computer? You can't, unless you've planned ahead for that, and Jason can attest, he does these contracts. It is very expensive to make last minute adjustments to technology on a campus.
Well, and look, we don't have the budget, of the parents I talked to. They were citing Southlake, and they weren't completely accurate. Southlake allows your own computers, but they have the internet filtering on there, and I know we're looking at all of that, and we're looking at, after we get the laptop or the new iPads, which are more powerful than past models, we're looking at options for our students.
That's right.
Especially our
And
seniors.
yes, it is unfortunate. Our timing is that we just entered into a brand new 3-year lease, but I do think this is something that we're going to be talking about at the campus level. What do we need to do for these oldest students, and how can we do that, as campus-owned devices? Because what ends up having to be done to a personal device to make it compliant with the law essentially turns it over to be school property. And it blurs the lines between personal and school property, and I don't think that's something that we want to be in the middle of. And even if we did, we don't have the infrastructure right now to be able to do it. And we don't have the manpower. We're working on campus. We have 2 IT people, and they are working nonstop.
Yeah, and I know, look, there were some other changes in the school year. I think there was a lot that happened quickly. James, I know thank you for your leadership, and Kelly, thank you for yours. I know we're still in talks with parents over all this, but this one kind of drives me crazy. One, I didn't like how it was rolled out, but 2, we will comply with the law. I mean, it's just that simple.
Kelly, I understand.
Yes.
This is pretty difficult. I'll say I had probably 30.
I bet you got an earful.
Senior parents contact me separate
Yes.
from what was sent publicly.
Yes.
It's personal because I do have a senior there.
Yes.
I'm glad she's a senior now with this coming out. I understand we have to approve this. It's law. We're always going to do the right thing. But in approving this, I want to hear the details of our solution. I don't want to just approve this and then we go off and implement something that I don't think is going to be effective for an IB program or a senior to be working on iPads, maybe have laptops that are not effective enough to be able to use, or they have to check them in and out every single class that they go to. I don't think that that's going to be an acceptable answer. And so what I'd like to see is, yes, we're going to have to pass this because it's a law, but I want somebody to come back and brief us on what our recommended answers are on how we're going to deal with this effectively to the benefit of our students as well as supporting the law. Because that's really what the parents want to know is there are no answers right now because we don't know.
Yeah.
But we need to bring the answers back here to the town council so that we can let our community know, so every parent feels comfortable we are doing the right thing for our students, even if we need to move money from one bucket to another bucket to make sure it's done properly. That's all I care about. I support you guys infinitely, and this is a horrible problem that you got to deal with. But we have a responsibility to the parents as well to make sure that we all give them the answers that they need.
Absolutely, and we very much understand. Our mission is we are working with college-bound students, and so their technology needs to match what those aspirations are and what the goals of the school are. So I have asked Ray, in light of that, just to look at what it would cost from a technology standpoint to just fix the problem. Fixing the problem meaning we are handing laptops, newly leased laptops to our DP students. It will be a significant expense, but he is working on getting a quote for that. We do have, as you mentioned, some less costly solutions that are not as easy as just handing everyone a laptop, but are definitely more cost effective. So it is dependent on what is palatable for the community. And I agree with you. Like there's still a conversation to be had. We're working on kind of a short-term interim approach, and then we're working on discussing what can be done in the longer term if the funding would be approved for that.
I think you're going to find out the communities will be very supportive of finding the optimal choice for our students and finding a way to support that. I think that's where.
That's awesome. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
So that was in I'm sorry.
No, it's just two comments. In the June meeting, when we approved the lease of the new equipment through Apple, Jason mentioned that there were going to be a lot of laptops that faculty were going to be using that were then going to be available, right? So what are the numbers there?
So
is that
yes, we did look at that. We collected about 120 back. Is that correct, Jason?
So yes, we have. I talked to Ray today. We've got about 106 that are in carts right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they're 3 years old, but they're the M1 processor that Apple still sells today.
A 3-year-old Apple computer is still a fully functional.
They're fully functional. The staff took good care of them. Then we have some laptops that are from 2019. We've got about 96 of those. They're the Intel processor. They're still fine for most schoolwork. They're still fully supported by Apple. You can still run the software on them. So we're just under 200 that are available in laptop carts across campus today.
And how many DP students would we need to be providing this to?
James, what's the total right now?
Yeah, and I don't think that the carts will be an acceptable solution of turning in and pulling out.
We'll use those carts for testing across campus.
Yeah, it's going to be hard.
One of the caveats too, and Jason can speak further to this, I'm sure, but one of the points that Ray made when we were discussing this, Mr. Workman, for those of you, he's right us at the campus, Mr. Workman, when we were working through potential solutions, one of the things to note is that the maintenance after the lease is over becomes very, very costly. And so the proposal to have those stay on campus was twofold. First of all, they're there when we need them. But secondarily to that, it was not reinvesting a lot of money in a lease for maintenance, because once they leave campus, the likelihood of those getting lost, stolen, screens cracked, all of that then becomes incumbent on us as the academy to make sure that those stay workable and get repaired.
Yes,
and we wouldn't have a process for that at this point.
Yeah, we did again talk about this in the June meeting, that there is a obligation that the parents and students sign off on if there's damage to the device, and we also have that covered through insurance. So there's we're double covered there. It seems like right now there's a concern around being compliant by September 18th, right? We have if you're telling me that 150, 73 seniors, we have 200 devices, they can be taken off campus. The students take their iPads off campus.
We don't have insurance or coverage.
Understood. So I'm saying on those, we no
cards,
longer have insurance on those devices, but they're also 3 years old. They were effectively retired at this point anyway. Parents are on the hook for whatever it was, $295 or some amount that was sort of the obligation if their device is damaged. that carried over, my understanding was, to the iPads as well, which we do have insurance on, right? And so, again, if I understood your comments at the June board meeting, we're kind of double covered on most of the devices. Some of these devices we don't have any coverage on other than that sort of obligation, that technology licensing obligation for them to meet. My math isn't working out right here, but it seems like we could be covered at least this year to address this issue, for this school year, and then think about it for the budget for next year. The only other comment I'm going to make is that this does strike me as one of those needs where the foundation could provide some real assist. That's more than just chairs outside, right? Laptops inside. And I think there's an opportunity here for support from the foundation, but that may not even be necessary if we already have all the devices that are in carts, understandably, but I'm not sure how they've already been allocated, but it seems like there's more than enough devices based on the number of students who need them.
And I definitely think priorities should, seniors at this point, I know when I had a senior, he never even opened his school issue iPad. He only used his laptop. So in this sense, I think that, maybe seniors are given a choice. Do they want a school computer or a school iPad? Pick one and then have the technology insurance that the parents have to pay, and that covers any issues that we have. I think that's a really important. I think we should focus on the seniors. CP for sure, I think.
Right. And it's funny, my son did not use a laptop last year, but the majority of the class did. Right? He got through on his iPad. But we checked and talked to parents of graduating seniors. So if I understand, we have laptops. We don't want to issue them because we don't have insurance.
That's a simplified answer.
We
but
also use them across campus for other classes,
right?
Science classes, computer classes. We have testing. I think Spanish classes have testing where we have to have about 60 to 80 laptops for that.
But my understanding is these are ones that we were recaptured.
Those testing don't work
so
on the iPads.
They weren't used last year for that purpose if they've just been recaptured.
Right. It's the age of the ones that we were using prior to when these were rolled in is kind of the concern. I think all of these are really important points of discussion, and I think that once we have some of that information about what it would cost to actually, to Mr. Dwayne's point, if this is a place where the foundation could help, this would be a really tangible place that I think would get a really good community response around whether or not we're able to be able to put these devices in the hands of students.
And we're working through these solutions in real time, right?
We are. Yes, we are.
So I would say to the council, I think we have to pass the rule as presented, but we owe a solution and the plans to the seniors and to the parents and to the board. Does that make sense?
And we've been intentionally cautious to not overpromise. Like there's a reason why there is not a plan because we still have all these unanswered questions about cost, about actual need, about what was going to be palatable to the community. Voices have been heard. We know that we want to be able to give them a device other than an iPad if possible, and so that's what we're looking into right now.
I think we can approve this with the stipulation that the school has to come back and we have to approve their solution that they offer for the students.
I agree. And I think there's some and look, if we have to spend some money, we'll find the money to spend. And everybody, it's going to be okay.
I want to also just say for the record and for what is required in the law, the technology department, even to make the teacher laptops compliant, there's going to be significant time because there's iMessage, there's FaceTime, there's all the applications that come on a Mac device that, Jason, you're the expert here, but it is a process to process 150 devices and even still make those compliant with the law, even if it's not the personal. It is you have to remove iMessage, remove FaceTime, and that does take time and the personnel. And so I know we're working on it, and I wanted to mention that for the sake of the IT department because it is. There is still work to make even the teachers' laptops compliant because you cannot have any communication.
But could you outsource that to make it go faster?
Depending on funding, yes.
Yeah, with money.
Obviously,
Yeah.
Jason's not going to do all of it.
Mr. Workman would probably really appreciate.
Well, we need to look, Kelly, I think what you're hearing is, I know it's been a tough week for all of us.
It's okay. It's part of it.
It's fine. Well, but I think what bothers me is that our parents would think we would do something to harm our students' education.
We want our kids to have the absolute edge in every way.
In
for sure.
every way. And so I would ask that we approve this with the caveat we're going to come back with solutions. I'm going to ask council right now, if we have to find money to get this thing done, we're going to treat these seniors right, and we're going to do it right. We're going to find the money.
Absolutely.
And again, we're sorry for all this.
It's okay. There's nothing to be
I'm
sorry.
gonna blame-
we're sorry to the parents who were very stressed. We're sorry to the students who are caught in the middle of this.
Yeah.
It's and it would have been nice to have had a little more lead time, but it's okay.
I know I'm going to get hate mail. I'm going to say this, though. We, senior young lady, showed up to volleyball, first volleyball game Thursday night, and said, "How you doing? How's your first day?" She goes, "It's actually very weird." I go, "Why is that?" Because for the last numerous years, I come into school and I have my laptop open with my Pinterest board, I have my earphones on, and I have my laptop open with social media. Mm-hmm. Well, you would be the poster child of why this law was enacted. And I know no one wants to hear that, but they are, again, we weren't asked for our opinion about the law or the timing.
Right.
And again, I apologize for the situation. We will follow it, and we will spend whatever money necessary.
I'll just note that oftentimes these changes feel stark in the early days, and then you start realizing, like, wow, why did we ever smoke in bars?
Right.
Why did that?
How about in the office? I'm that old.
That seems so strange. Why did the car line used to go that way?
Yes.
Yeah. So hopefully after, resolved.
Thank you for your support, for your understanding. Right. We are, I promise, we've been diligently working on this behind the scenes and wanting to really have something solid to bring before we roll it out. But we do have a very short-term interim plan, and if the funding is there, we can have a much better longer-term plan.
Do I have a motion to approve WA Resolution 25-22 with the amendment that we will come back with solutions to get this thing taken care of as soon as possible?
Yep,
so moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Can I ask what soon as possible?
I'll ask Dr. Rich.
What as soon as possible, since we're putting...
I think we can have some really solid information. There's a special meeting next week on the 25th. I think we can have some really solid information. I don't know what that looks like from an agenda standpoint. Diana would have to direct us on that. But even if it's a workshop, I think we can have some information for you on the night of the 25th.
Okay.
If that's
that agenda's already been posted.
It's been posted, so no, you can't know.
If we have to have a special meeting, we'll have a special meeting for
we need
this,
to
right?
resolve this, so the sooner the better.
So let me cover this. Motion carries, as we discussed. We're going to take a 5-minute break here in just a second. I want to make a statement. I got numerous emails over this and some of the other changes, and to all the parents, I appreciate your passion, your care for your children, and your civility, to be quite honest. Mm-hmm. I got ripped on a couple emails and see you at the football game. So thank you. We are finding a solution on the technology side. So thank you very much. Let's take a 5-minute break and we will reconvene. For Mr.
Yeah. I was just saying, get around.